I rise in strong support of S-2183, legislation to bolster U.S.-backed international broadcasting to Ukraine and the surrounding region. This legislation passed the House overwhelmingly last week as part of H.R. 4278. It was authored by myself and Mr. Engel. While the Senate did not act on the full House package of legislation to support Ukraine, I am pleased that the Senate did recognize and act on this important piece of legislation, sending this back, and with its passage, this bill goes to the President's desk. Mr. Speaker, this legislation is central to our effort to counter Russian aggression and support, and to send the type of support we need to send to democratic development of Ukraine. Throughout the crisis, Russians and Ukrainians alike have been bombarded by portrayals of Ukrainian protesters and the interim government as you can hear on the Russian propaganda broadcasts, what they call fascist mercenaries. This, of course, is a rather deplorable attempt to draw a connection between those who yearn for freedom in Ukraine, and overwhelmingly the country of Ukraine voted for independence, an attempt to draw a connection between that and the brutal Nazi invasion of the Second World War. In this false narrative, which really is sort of a big lie argument here, stock images of chaos and violence are used to persuade viewers that ethnic and linguistic Russians are under attack in Ukraine. Footage of a border crossing between Ukraine and Poland has been used to support the outlandish claims that Ukrainian refugees are fleeing into Russia. In Crimea, Russian forces have seized control over at least a dozen television and radio stations that are now used to broadcast misleading and false news and information around the clock. Russian propaganda right now is really in overdrive. A survey by Russia's only independent polling service, Levada, earlier this month showed that 63% of Russians believe state media portrayals and believe that they're portraying an objective picture of Ukraine. Now, this bill puts us on the offensive in this information battle. It does so by requiring Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and the Voice of America to increase broadcasts to the people of eastern Ukraine and Crimea, prioritizing programming to populations that are being inundated with Russian propaganda and combating the misinformation they are receiving. This bill also supports efforts to circumvent Russian jamming. The Russian government has targeted Ukrainian television and radio stations, jamming their signals and disrupting their ability to reach Ukrainian audiences, while the Russian propaganda broadcasts come in relentlessly. In addition, this bill supports U.S. international broadcasting to the Balkans and Moldova, two regions that are subject to the wider Russian propaganda campaign. The free flow of information forms the foundation for a strong democratic society. Russian propaganda kills democratic prospects. This is the problem with the fact that the state in Russia has now taken over all independent media. As they struggle to build democracy, this bill will help provide the people of Ukraine with news and information that is accessible, that's credible, that's accurate. It'll basically be surrogate broadcasting, and so I urge its passage, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time.